Welcome to my Best 11 podcast. Today we are joined by a man who's nearly a one-club man at the mighty Luton Town. Played in defence with Marv throughout the late 80s and the 90s. Today we are joined by Julian James. How are you, Julian?
I'm all right. Thank you very much for asking. Yep, I'm surviving.
Excellent. Marvin, your fellow combative defender. Was Julian like yourself? Did he love a good mazy run? Or was he more Mr. Block?
I would say Jules was more of a out and out defender. He was a very good defender, a better defender than me, I'd say. I mean, I like to take risks and dribble the ball. Jules scored some great goals. I remember a goal he scored against, was it Derby or Portsmouth at home a long time ago now. You ran from the back and joined in the attack, and it was like it hit the post and come out. Did you score? I don't know. My memory's quite good, by the way. Jules, you're 2 years younger than me. 2 years younger than me, so I don't know. Your memory should be better. But no, Jules was what I call back in the day, an out and out solid defender. Defended when he should defend, and didn't take the risks when he shouldn't take risks, if that makes sense. I was a little bit more risque, shall I say.
I would have liked to have been like you, Marv, but, I was always worried about you going forward and falling over. So I had to sort of be there for when you either took it all the way up the pitch or not.
That is true.
That is true, isn't it? You took the risks.
I did.
We knew you were taking risks, so we just covered you, mate.
Excellent. So we're here to talk about Julian's best 11 players he's ever played on a pitch with in terms of competitive games. So that can be all the way from his time, obviously, at Luton, a little bit of time at Preston, and then a couple of games when he tried to come back from, which we'll talk about later, tried to come back from his injury in the late 90s. To start off with, though, we're going to go, because this is your team, Julian, we're going to throw straight over to you. What formation are you playing for your best 11 and why?
Well, played with a lot of players, just like Marvin. It's difficult to fit them all in, I would suggest. But on this occasion, I've gone for a 5-3-2 formation. Now, those guys aren't necessarily going to be wing backs or whatever, but they're defenders, if that makes sense. So just to fit people in the team for this purpose, that's what I'm going to do.
Excellent. And have you ever dabbled in management yourself? I was trying to look up through your history books and things, and I couldn't see much in terms of yourself.
No. I did try and progress with the coaching stuff after I finished football. It's a long story. I had a few issues. So I didn't take the first year of my A licence, the exam, and I left it 2 years, and I went to take it again. And in fairness, my preparation weren't great. My head was all over the place, a bit of mental health issues, finishing football and that sort of stuff. So a lot of people don't realise, but then you moved into my building business. So I'm finding it difficult now with the aches and pains, but maybe in 5 years' time, I'll think of something else.
Excellent. So, and 5-3-2, is that something what formation, obviously you picked this because of the players.
Just for the players.
You want to put in a team, but which one did you prefer to play in yourself? What was your favourite formation as a player?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, we go for positions first. I hated playing fullback.
Did you? Really?
I hated playing fullback. I was a centre back or a centre midfielder, but we never got coached centre midfield play at Luton. I got thrown in with Pleaty a couple of times to play centre midfield. Half a dozen games, maybe 4 of them I done well, the other 2 I didn't maybe. In the early days, my first game with Ray, my debut at Southampton, I got chucked in against Jimmy Case, who at Southampton, who gladly gave me a smack round the ear roll as soon as I come on the pitch. And the second game was Nottingham Forest. So that's where I tended to like to play. As formations, most of the time we played 4-4-2 at Luton, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, in our era, just getting the ball, getting it down, and trying to play a little bit, and then occasionally getting someone on the end of a cross or getting Dwight Marshall or whatever to run or whatever. That's how it worked, didn't it, Marv? You know.
I never knew that, Jules, that you hated playing fullback.
Couldn't stand it, mate. No, I originally went when I had me under 21 caps. It was purely because I played centre half. Now, back in the day, this is going back to when John Moore picked me up. I went down to Watford and Tottenham and all that sort of thing. So Graham Taylor knew me from then, etc., etc. And they wanted me at Watford as a centre back. But I came to Luton because Luton were more. They were a nice club, weren't they?
Yeah.
You know, they were more attentive, coaching and all that. They wanted you to get the ball down, where you'd go to Watford training and you'd be running around terraces and all that sort of caper, which is Tom Wally was a bit of a nightmare, you know. So that's where it sort of ended. And as soon as I got to Luton, then the under 21s I was centre half, and then after that I come back. If you remember, Matthew Jackson played 2 games or something after Tim went, and he went, and Pleaty brought me back from Preston, and I slotted in at right back. So for then on in, I was more of a utility player, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You know,
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. But we're going to get into your team, and we'll delve a little bit further into your career as we go.
Sure.
We'll start off as ever with the crazy position on the pitch. Goalkeeper.
Right. Okay. Right. This one's going to stump everybody because I will give a hint right later on. But I played with, like Marv, there's quite a lot of goalkeepers, from Les Seeley, who was vocal, to say the least. If you couldn't learn anything off of him, you were struggling. I don't know about you, Marv, but you were frightened, weren't you, to drop back over the halfway line? Because we'd play so high, like we're playing the reserves, whatever, he'd be sweeping, wouldn't he? And he'd be going, F and, get up the pitch or whatever. But the good thing about Les is, if you kick the ball out for a corner, you would actually get a right old caning, wouldn't you? You know, if you've got a chance to kick it off for a throw in, you kick it off for a throw in, not a corner.
Yeah, that's correct.
You know, and you see it so often these days. People just give corners away, don't they? And you think, why are you doing that? You know, we had so the other goalkeepers we got there when I was around, Dibs, obviously.
Dibs.
Doctor's nightmare, wasn't he? He was doctor's nightmare. So going the old treatment every day. You know, what have we got for this, Doc? Got a bit of cream for this?
Dibs has been
yeah,
on, by
Dibs
the way.
was a social lad, wasn't he?
Yeah. Very
But
much
he's a good
so.
player. Dibs is quality, mate. I loved him he's a shot stopper. Couldn't run a lot, could he? But he was a great shot stopper. I mean, and when he got for the Littlewood's Cup final, that was a surprise to everybody, wasn't it? And the right choice to save the penalty and whatever. And then we had a few people. We've got Alec.
He could run.
What did you say about Alec? He's quality, mate. Alec.
Yeah.
Alec's 20 years in the game, Luton and Watford. What I loved about Alec as well, which they don't do anymore, goalkeepers, they seem to pitch it up in the air and they get there. I can't even get my leg up that high, Marv. They try and get the foot up there and try and kick it, and all it does is go up in the air, doesn't it? Basically. Whereas Alec, if you remember, straight leg, half bounce, arrow it straight in Mick Harford or down his chest or whatever. I mean, that technique, you don't see it anymore. I don't suppose you're allowed, are you? For what purpose? Come on, coach, for what purpose? If you're good enough, you do it, don't you?
Yeah, of course, 100%. I mean, that's the nearest one to the goal, isn't it? The striker.
Yeah. So Alex was brilliant. I thought playing with him, he was a good lad, wasn't he? Good team player.
Good. Yeah.
And then obviously as we tiered down the leagues and whatever, other goalkeepers come into play with the likes of Jurgen Sumner. Bit of a boy, isn't he? He's a bit of a big old bruiser. what I liked about Jurgen, he was positive. All right, he was positive. He'd come for the ball, but God, he made me nervous because sometimes it'd be yours, mine, leave it, away. It'd be like 4 different messages all in one go. So I remember getting dropped one game because he told me to leave the ball at the near post. I left the ball and someone nicked in and scored.
You got dropped for that?
Yeah, I got dropped for that game. The next game, yeah. Yeah, I thought, you bastard. Absolute tosser, whatever. So
clues for this person, because we're not. You think we're not going to get
the clues? We're going to go through a couple of other goalkeepers, but the clues, right, mate. All right, all I can say is he had a long established career. He is I could say he's a family member, really, but he was a Luton supporter.
He was a Luton supporter,
but didn't play for Luton.
I got it. You thought I was never going to get it. I got it.
Who did you play with him?
I got it. See, Jules, you think you don't underestimate me. I could be wrong, but
you should get him. You should get him.
No, but you said we weren't going to get it because you've only this is the one you just trained with.
Well, Andrew did.
He's up. David James.
Do you know why you got it? Because he's my brother, mate.
Well done, Andrew. See,
don't
underestimate us. Huh?
Marvin. Yeah, he was. I played with him at county level and stuff like that before the youth team, basically in 1 or 2 little games at Watford and that. But he was 16s or whatever it was. But it was obvious, mate, that he had a career in the game back then. He was awesome. He could throw the ball further than he can kick it.
Yeah.
Even at that age, it was frightening. But
I was thinking it was at.
He was coaching at Luton, wasn't he? Did he coach at Luton as well?
He was coaching at Luton. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise until later on, after his career, that he was a Luton Town supporter, which was really strange.
Yeah. No,
he still keeps it quiet these days. Still keeps it quiet. So, what makes him? You said that you knew he was going to make it. I know you mentioned things like he could throw the ball further, he could kick it. As a keeper, I mean, most people know technically, skill-wise, and things like that. You reckon that certain players and outfield players, you can pick. Most people could pick a striker who's going to make it. How can you pick a keeper who makes it? Or is going to?
David was a freak of nature. If you'd have seen him when he was 16, he was bigger than everybody. He filled the goal. His hands were like shovels. He's obviously on the same planet as most of them. He was an absolute loon ball back in the day. He was he could shot stop as well. At that age, he was a shot stopper, and you just think, well, you got a real good chance here. And for me, I know people call him Calamity James and all this, and I look at him and think, from where I come from, where you come from, Marv, where he come from, do you know what? 10 out of 10, mate. To play for England and have a career like he's had, absolutely fantastic. I mean, we used to play Sunday football as well against each other. So, we got on all right. We were the Luton Watford and the Watford Luton. Go on. Bring it on, son. Go on, I can take it.
Yep. So, talking of which, I was doing some research that I sent to Marvin from your programme notes. And I'm just going to read it out to people. You watch, I won't be able to find it now. I'm just going to read it out to people. That's meet the real Julian James. Birthplace Tring, height 5'10.5" inches. Makes you, is that important to put the half in? You sound like my mum.
5'7" at best.
You sound like my mum.
5'7" at best.
Now, debut obviously Southampton, 1988. As I scrolled down, the one I was most interested in was who did you support as a boy? Funnily enough, said Julian in his notes, and I don't know how much you guys write this or somebody else writes it. Funnily enough, I used to watch Watford. My dad was a steward there, so I got him for nothing. It was around the time John Barnes was breaking into the team.
Before then. I used to. My dad used to steward Watford when they were in the lower leagues. You know, when they had the horse, the dog track, and all that cape around the pitch. I was 5 when I got into football, basically watching the likes of Watford and that. So I saw all the, the rise of Watford and everything else. So yeah, I was a supporter of Watford, yeah. And my kids are still supporters now. My family's supporting Watford, whatever. But as soon as I turned to Luton, my 100% commitment was towards Luton, wasn't it? Because that was my career, and for 13 years, that was who I was until it ended.
So, Jules, question: supported Watford basically because your dad.
My kids have asked me this.
No. I know you know it's coming on you. Basically, but
yeah.
How? I mean, if you supported them, why choose Luton? I know you said to us because they wanted to play. You didn't want to be running all the time, but I mean, there wasn't that much of a affiliation. It sounds then really with your heart with Watford, which is great as a kid because you chose Luton and not Watford. Normally, kids would choose the team what they support.
I would have gone to Watford at a flipping drop of a hat at the time because that's the team I supported.
Okay.
Logic told me I wasn't stupid that I had various other teams interested in me, but Luton Town were really keen, and the way they went about their business and the way they, because they had a lot of good youngsters then, didn't they? They had a lot of from all over the place, Ireland, Scotland, and whatever. And the way they dealt with the youngsters was brilliant, I thought. Although we trained on car parks and all that rubbish, but
I enjoyed that. Really. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, elaborate the business side. What do you mean? How did they went about the business? What do you mean by that for some of the listeners in regards to other clubs? Well,
at the time, how can I put it? They had let's go back to Watford. They had like Tom Wally, who's their first team, one of their coaches there, and whatever, and blah blah blah. For Luton, you had the whole bunch that were first team coaches. You had Trevor Hartley, David Coates, going down the tiers, whatever, John Moore, whatever, who would take interest in you. David Pleat, for example, would take interest in you, make you feel that you're part of that setup, even though you're on the peripheral of that, and going into training, going on the pitch, we trained under the stand, didn't we? And then he's off. Where's he gone? What's he gone? Do a bit of training?
Cut a lapse. You've inspired him by running up and down the terrace.
But yeah, but the way they went about things, and they desperately wanted to sign me. So I signed schoolboy forms at 15, I believe. It was 14 you were allowed to sign. But I had an uncle who was a West Brom scout as well. So I went to West Brom, but I didn't fancy that. So Luton it was a good fit for me.
Yeah.
And they were teaching me to play football, which is what I was from a place in Tring in Hertfordshire. We just, not saying we're a little bit dense around the ear holes, but all we did was play football, or go fishing or something. So to have someone who's actually interested in the skill that you enjoy was pretty good going for me.
Yeah. So who do you go for now?
Sorry, mate?
Who do you support now?
Who do I support? Well, Watford, of course.
So you still
don't change who you support, do you?
Okay, I wasn't sure if so. After 13 years, it didn't even push you against the yellow team.
No, why would it? That's my job. That was my job for 13 years of my job, and for that 13 years, I was a Luton fan, a Luton Town fan. I still follow Luton as well. Don't get me wrong. I don't go, oh shit, Luton, that shit. If I think, oh, I'm not one of them who thinks Watford and Luton hate each other and all this stuff. I've got the reasons why I was a Watford supporter. I can't just fall off the edge of a cliff and go, oh, now I'm going to be a Luton fan. I was a Luton player. The ones that supported me from Luton, the fans that supported me, I can't thank them enough, But life moves on after Luton Town, I'm afraid.
What? 100%. 100%.
That's the Jules I know. Honest to the point. That's good. No, it's great. I mean, it is. Yep.
So we'll move on to the rest.
I'll get stick for it, but I don't care. Do you know what I mean?
So we'll move on to the next. The rest. We've got David James in. So we'll now move on to one of the three. So you're playing 5 at the back. How do you want to do this? Do you want to go to the wings, or the wing backs, full backs, whatever you want to do?
Yeah, let's go right side, full back.
Yep.
Do you want a clue first?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Cut the cues.
Yeah.
I would say very positive and quick.
Did he play for Scotland?
No.
I think he played for. I think he ended up playing for QPR and West Ham.
Yeah, you got it. I could have said Tim used to go like that, like probably everyone else did.
Was he not a fan of Heavy?
Tim's a nice lad, isn't he? He's strong, quick. You know, I love watching. I used to like watching him play as well. You know, because he never changed his style when he went to West Ham. Basically, just tunnel vision, boom, down there, cross the ball, get back. The guy was a machine, weren't he?
Fit, really fit, up and down. Like,
you know, modern day football, Marv, he would fit in easily.
100%.
Talking of modern day football, one of the questions I was going to ask you, Julian, is you said that you prefer centre back, but you play quite a bit in fullbacks. Who would you like, for younger listeners who may be watching or listening to this, who would you most liken yourself to in the Premier League? And that can be anywhere, obviously, from the higher end to the bottom end. Who would you say you're most like as a player, skill wise or on the pitch?
No one.
Is that because defending's changed?
No, defending's crap. Some of the defenders, I've watched a lot of Premiership games. I'll tell you what, some of the centre halves, the game's changed. You can't close people down like you used to. You can't shadow people like you used to. You know, you can't. I see some of the defenders. The only time they get tight to people is in the box for corners when they start messing around manhandling people. I've seen a lot of football since I finished, and Premier League as well. The game with the fullbacks, there's no way I could have played that game off. I couldn't even run across the halfway line half the time. So centre halves, I'll probably be able to fit in somewhere there, perhaps. But there's no one I can There's no one I can sort of put myself up against, really.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll
for two reasons. For two reasons. One's because there's no one like me.
I'm sure Marvin would 100% agree with that.
Right. and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Marv, but I see a lot of football where the centre backs. It depends what game you watch. Obviously, the exchange from one end to the other is so quick, right, with the counter attacking. But then on other sides of the game, you look at some of the centre backs and you think, Jesus Christ, if I was fit and I was still playing, I could actually just about. Do you know what I'm saying? You get that thing where you think, I haven't run around.
No, I know what Jules is saying. I mean, not just centre backs, but a lot of criticism was pointed towards Trent Alexander, who's you can say he's an international. I mean, back then, when we played, he would be classified as a great defender. Whereas today, I think I've mentioned it before, going forward, excellent. But sometimes he's been a little bit suspect with his defending because I think there's more games now, Jules. There's more cameras, there's more different angles, there's everything. So there's more games being streamed live I think there's only probably one day, of the week where there's not a game. Sometimes there's a Premiership game. So, it's difficult realistically to perform. I made mistakes, you made mistakes, everyone makes mistakes. So if you can imagine the amount of games that you're seeing Liverpool,
Oh,
England.
it's super analysed on the television.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it swings it back.
I agree with you. What I'm saying, from watching live, for the speed of the game and all that sort of stuff, I think, well, I get these people say, oh, yeah, it's so quick and everything else, blah, blah, blah. And I watch it, I think, yeah, some games are actually electric. Other games are just bog ordinary. I just think, yeah, I don't get it. I remember speaking to Brian Steen. Once about a centre forward that signed for Tottenham. And he's going, fuck me, George. He's going, he's crap, right? He was, and he,
that's Steenie. But hold on. That's Steenie. Everyone's crap to Steenie.
He's on 50 grand a week. He don't even move.
No, I know what you mean.
But there are some good, there's some good points and bad points. Anyway, we digress. Where are we going now then, boys?
Left back. We're done right. Let's go left.
Back.
Okay. Right. We've had, again, loads of left backs within. Marvin played left back. Would you prefer Marv centre back?
I mean, neither was a problem to me because in my head, again, I know I was a defender, but I would always try and, and completely encouraged us from the start to join in anyway, Jules. I loved playing centre back and left back because I felt that I could join in and start the play from both those positions. So it would be tough, but I'd probably just say centre back just slightly. Because I probably played the majority of my career there. That's why I probably would edge more for that.
I like playing for third centre back because you see more of the picture as well. You can come out where if it's like you can come out and instead of just running into the crowd, you can run.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You get run down the tunnel.
100%.
Yeah. So anyway, left back. So we've got loads of players from Luton Town, which we could go through, and the various teams that I've played for. The guy that I'll give you a clue, he had a good engine, good left foot. And he was a foreigner. And what I mean by foreigner, he wasn't born on these shores.
Right.
Ooh. Come on, Marvin.
Did you play with him at Luton?
No.
I didn't think so. No, I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. We have some good left, but Dickie Harvey, the forgotten man, Tumble. Mitch.
I'm going to throw it out there. I don't know. Guess.
Go on, Andrew. You can guess.
Graham Lasso.
Graham Lasso is spot on.
Yes. Check it out.
Do you know what? That lad, right? We're back in when we were 20s. He was probably 20. He was one of the overage players, I think, 22, maybe something like that. He had the papers and all that in his palm of his hand, the reporters and all that. So he was all clued up to be ready for the big time and get his story out and make some money and all that sort of business. But he was a good player, wasn't he?
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
He was a good player. Yeah.
When's the World Cup? When's the World Cup eventually? Did he go 98?
Yeah. 98. Yeah. He's we played the tournament that I played in
Toulon?
France, Toulon. Yeah, he's very much part of that group. I think I played 2 games and was substituted probably twice, whatever. But he played in them all, and he was very much the leader. Him and Tim Sherwood.
Can you remember? Did they get to the final? Did they win it, Jules? Can you remember that?
They did win it. Yeah, they won it. Yeah. The most funniest thing about that tournament, right? I've never seen it since or before. Portugal were in that tournament, and after about 10 minutes, we were watching the game. I can't remember who they're playing. It might have been Brazil, Portugal, or something like that. and they were down to nine players, and just before half time they were down to 8 players. So all kicking off.
Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal, all petulant stuff, and handbags and all this sort of stuff. And then after half time, the game was abandoned because they went under 7 players. So 2 more got sent off. I've never seen it ever.
Wow.
So that is a question that probably a game that's, if that was that's never happened before in my lifetime that I've seen, sort of in a proper.
Was that the 21s, Jules?
That was the under. Yeah, well, back in the day, back in my day, all it was senior first team. They had the occasional B, probably once a year or maybe twice a year, a B match, and the under 21s. I think now it's the Toulon competitions. Is it under 20s now? Then you've got the then you've got the the European one or whatever, and they got the first team. So. Yeah.
How did you find out about that then? Was that like a phone call? You've been selected, or did Cherry Newbury say, "Hey, you've been selected for the Toulon"? I mean, how did that come about?
Cherry Newbury.
I don't know. She was a secretary. I mean, I'm saying she was a club secretary.
Yeah, I know Cherry. Yeah, I know Cherry.
I mean, was it a phone call, or was it? I mean, how did that, I
got a letter through the. I got a letter. As I can remember, I've got it somewhere here. Yeah, I got a letter, and you're having a laugh, aren't you? It's one of the moments you think, selected to play. Yeah. So that was good, and then I think I went to one, maybe 2 other meetings, but I didn't. I think there was a game at Southampton. I was involved, and then I wasn't involved in the match, sort of thing. So squads.
Yeah.
Right.
Did the family get over to Toulon?
No, it's a real shame, isn't it? It's one regret that my dad followed me everywhere.
Yeah,
and probably wish he had. It was great, but I wish he had. But is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Never mind.
It's an amazing achievement to play for your country in whatever capacity, whatever age group, whatever capacity.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's great, and I'll tell you what's good. Like singing the national anthem to about 200 people. It's brilliant. It's a bit like our Christmas carols, Marv, when we used to sit.
I mean, I'm sure it's easier singing the national anthem to 200 people than it is bricking your pants that you're going to have to maybe get eggs thrown at you or whatever, flour thrown at you doing the Christmas carols, Jules. Trust me.
Right, I got battered. I'll tell you, I got battered that second, not the first year, because obviously I just got into the team and then out again. Of course, they're going to come for me, aren't they? You know what it's like. You had Ashley Grimes and people like that in there, throwing hot tea at you, ice cubes, socks, everything come at you, talc. Oh, in the dark. So I run around the pitch. I remember running around the pitch in the nude, chasing the.
You had to, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, little things.
You got voted the worst. You got voted the worst singer.
Oh yeah.
Let's just try and elaborate a little bit more so that everyone knows that what we're talking about here, which I mean certainly wouldn't go on today. Back in the day, as apprentices, there would be Christmas festive spirits for the pros and for the young ones to join in, but it wasn't quite festive for the young ones. So the apprentices would have to come out with a broom as their microphone and Wellington boots and tinsel wrapped around their little ding-a-ling-long, whatever you call it, and sing a Christmas carol with a Christmas hat on. And they would have to learn the words, Andrew. You'd have to learn the words, and it was all, I mean, very, very
weird, isn't it?
Yeah, weird. Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't get away. You wouldn't get away with it now. Today, obviously not. But back in the day, it was a little bit of like camaraderie and stuff, which was just year after year would happen. And so that was the thing, really, what happened. And then the worst singer the pros would vote for would have to run around the field with the Wellington boots in under 60 seconds. And all the office staff and everyone else, the women and all that, would come out at the top of the thing, and they would be like there to watch everyone, like whoever, oh my gosh, our poor little so-and-so, whoever it was. I mean, they were like very like concerned. Oh, why would you make them do that? You know what I mean? But it is what it is, Jules, wasn't it? It was at the time. I mean, character building back then, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, character building if you like, but you could haunt a few people, couldn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it's these
No,
delicate
true.
souls. I mean,
True.
you know, and also the health and safety thing there. It wasn't just a case of throwing cups of tea and stuff like that. They were standing on a bloody table, which was about, I don't know, 2 foot wide, covered in water, and you're supposed to do a little dance.
There's
Who
a
was-
lot.
who was,
All the office staff couldn't wait, could they? Because they already sat outside waiting for you. That was their yearly treat, wasn't it, to see someone come around with a little willy hanging out. But
Oh, God.
so I run around the pitch, Marv, and this woman, because you remember the old catering went over the other side at some point.
Yes, it did.
She was running. She was walking behind the goal with a load of bread rolls. And when she saw me coming towards her, she ran for her life.
What? So it looks like you're chasing a lady with a full-on
baps, if that makes sense.
Sounds like a carry-on film.
No, it wouldn't be the first time.
Excellent. So we're going to get back to the clean part of the clean part of the show, and the football. So centre backs. Where do you want to go? Anywhere across the middle?
Right, I will go with. Do you want a clue?
Yeah, we like a clue all the time, Jules. We like a clue.
All the
Yeah,
time.
we like a clue.
You like a clue?
Yeah.
I would say, let's say lager.
Oh, yeah.
Go on then, Andrew.
It's the dodgy stuff that we export that no Australians ever drink.
You're talking about that Foster stuff.
Yep, I am.
Or Ranjaboo.
Yep.
Aussie.
Mr. Steve Foster.
Oh, that's close.
No.
But it's not right. Not right.
Surely that was a decent. That
I
logic
thought that was a
said
decent
Foster,
one.
beer, lager.
I thought that was great.
Well, Andrew probably won't get this, but Marvin, you should get this.
Andrew won't get this, but I should get this.
Yeah, because it's to do with beer.
Oh.
Somebody used to love a lager. I'm never going to get that.
I mean, Jules, if it's someone who used to love a lager, I mean, there could be any one of 28 players who played in that team at the time. I mean, give me another clue. Give me another clue.
Okay. Loud.
Loud. Oh, no. What other club did he play for?
Coventry.
Didn't Peaky play for Coventry?
There you go. Well done.
That's it, Peaky.
Correct.
Trevor
Peaky.
Peaky.
Now, you know where the lager reference comes from, Mark?
No,
don't you?
yeah. I do now. Yeah, I mean, I do now.
Yeah.
I do.
You know, his away games with his tin is hanging out the window to keep him cool.
No,
What a sportsman.
That goes back to his non-league days.
Yeah.
He's obviously told that story a few times, but like Peaky, what a defender, what a player. Yeah.
Great player. Yeah.
Yes.
Solid, dependable, strong.
Yeah.
How many mans in the matches does he get?
I know.
Loads, you know.
Well, at that time, it was quite a young Luton, a youngish kind of Luton squad. I mean, you still have people like Precy in there. Obviously, like you mentioned a few others like Harford and stuff, but Peaky must have really come in and had to use a lot of his experience because he was at the back end of his career, should we say, rather than you guys much more at the start of your career.
I'm not sure what age he was when he started, but he looked about 50 years older when he finished.
He must have been early 30s, mid 30s when he.
Yeah, no, Trev was well. It was one of my roommates. I had 3 roommates. You know, more than one game, but he was a nice fella, wasn't he? Genuine fella.
Very, very nice.
He was a leader on the pitch, nice off it, but also a leader off the pitch as well, which was important for the young people of Luton Town at the time. And he dragged a few of the game. You know, he dragged a few of the players. Vocally, it was good to have him in the team. You know, to g up a few players, and also his experience. You know, he's a man of experience, and he's been at the cup final and stuff like that. It's all. You know, we all respected him for that.
Definitely,
I think.
Yes.
And even more so because he likes a beer.
and the great thing about Peaky was that he wasn't fast, but I don't remember him realistically getting caught out for pace. Hardly at all.
No, because he read the game so well, Marv.
Yeah, positionally he had himself set, and he'd seen something, what was going to happen 2-3 balls before it happened, basically.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we did. And we had a lot. You know, we've had a lot of good centre halves at Luton, didn't we? Let's be honest. You know, but you know, it's not that probably wasn't the position that is. You know, it's always been reasonably strong. There's always been decent players that played there.
Yeah. Talking of which, who else is next to Peaky?
Okay, well, let's go for another one. Right, shall I say? He liked to come out with the ball.
Did he also play for Burnley?
No.
Okay.
Did he score a winning goal against Ipswich?
I couldn't tell you. You tell me, because I don't know.
You thought it was me? No.
I think it's Marv.
Unfortunately, Marv, it isn't you.
No, I didn't think.
When he spoke about loves to bring the ball out.
No, Marvin brought the ball out, and we were all told, weren't we? You know, do you remember John Faulkner used to say to you, come out with the ball, come out at an angle, and all that sort of stuff. So we were encouraged to come out, weren't we?
Yeah.
Did he?
Think about my age, right?
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Did he?
Think who I might have played with. There you go. There's a bit more of a clue. Think who I might have played with. So
I don't remember that many your apprentices that year. I really don't.
Don't think about my. No, don't. Sorry, I've got that wrong.
Oh, I've got it. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Andrew, come on.
Throw me under the bus.
No, I mean, think about. Well, I don't know who his games for England. What about back then? Who did he play with? Right, who could have played? I got Graham Lasso. Could have been. I don't know who else at that time.
Tony Adams, but he didn't love. He ran out with the ball. Tony Adams.
No, he was Irish. Did you give up yet? Did you give up?
No, he's gonna do us. He's gonna stump us. Oh.
Where did you? Okay, did you play with him?
Did he play for Tottenham?
No.
Did you play with him at Luton?
Yes.
Irish and at Luton?
Yes.
Mal? Yeah, I thought it was Mal.
It was the clues that threw us. We should have just gone with our gut, Marv.
I know, I should have gone with our gut.
Mal was different class, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
I mean, I obviously, I know you're saying about Watford and that, but I did, I was watching Luton, obviously 14 and 15 when I was associated with them. I remember watching him at the Cup semi-final versus Everton up at Aston Villa. Do you remember that match?
Yeah.
Awesome game, wasn't it? Awesome game. And, you know, he stood out for me a mile in that game. It was great. But he come back. When I joined, he left, didn't he?
Yeah.
So in 86, whatever, not so long after, whenever he left. But he came back on loan in the early 90s. So I played 2 or 3 games with him. I'll tell you, it was a real pleasure because I tell you, I probably learnt more in them 2 couple of games playing with him than I probably had before. And how he come out with the ball, Marv, he was just nonchalant with it, you know.
Comfortable,
Comfortable in his stride, and he was quite quick, you know.
Well, he used to play centre midfield a lot of the games. You know, he used to play
centre midfield. Yeah, I know. But he was only, I think he was only 5'10" or something, wasn't he, when he played next to Fozzie in it?
Yeah.
So I remember actually I've got a picture on my wall up here. Arsenal. And we lost 3-1 away to Arsenal. I don't know if you played in that game, Marv.
A Highbury?
Highbury. Yeah.
Centre forwards. I don't know. I don't think I did. I mean, he was centre forwards.
I don't know. Smith. We played. Probably, yeah.
Merson?
That's about the right time. Because they had a team as well, didn't they, Arsenal, back then?
Yeah.
Do you remember, Marv? We played Chelsea and Arsenal over the Christmas period back in. I mean, we're talking back in the olden days.
Is that Stamford Bridge? And we beat them 4-1 or something.
Do you know what? I don't know.
I remember a Christmas game when I think at Stamford Bridge, we played them, and I think we beat them like 4-1, and I mean, we played well that day, really well. I mean,
there was some good days. You know, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be involved with Luton back then. I've got to say, you know, they're happy memories as well.
Yeah. And playing against other heroes, you said. You mentioned, just to go back to your thing you wrote years ago, you mentioned Alan Hansen then. Playing against Hansen, and particularly against Dalglish, which I know is Marv's favourite ever player, maybe?
Well, one of my first games, wasn't it? About my 3rd game, I think. And I was substitute with, I'll tell you what, Ian Allinson was on the bench. What a nightmare he was. Get me on, Ray. Get me on, Ray. He's fucking useless. Get me on. Anyway, the game went on. Will you shut the fuck up? He was going. Anyway, with about 5 minutes to go, he says, "Get your gear on, Jules." He says, "You're going on." I went, "Shit, I'm actually going on."
And this was at Anfield, yeah?
Yeah. So I went on. He says, "Right, you're going on, centre back. Off you go." So I'm running on. First thing, I'm standing next to Dalglish. So obviously, it was surreal. It was really weird. So, you know, a couple of years ago, playing on kids' pitches to playing at Anfield, it was just unbelievable. A memory you can't take away.
No.
But the best memory, Marv, of that game for me, I've never been sub at any level, youth team, under 14s, 15s, whatever, and I was sub. And apart from the 2 games before with the first team. And Ray went to me, says, "Go on, off you go. Go and warm up. Go on, off you go with Les." And I'm thinking, oh, shit. I've got to go out and warm Les Seeley up. So I've gone out there and I felt under pressure. And warm up, you know what, like, don't kick the ball behind the stand. So I'm crossing the ball over it. And he's effing and blinding me because I can't kick the bloody thing straight, you know.
What were the I bet the fans were more than. I bet they were really nice to you.
Oh, brilliant up there.
Well, I didn't know if you because you were hitting the ball sideways and not hitting the ball there. They were giving you a bit of stick.
That was normal. I'll tell you that was normal. I'll tell you, I remember playing against York one day, and away from home, and Tumble was in the dugout, and for some reason I tried to kick the ball down the line with the outside of my foot, and it went straight in the stand, and all I heard was Tumble laughing his head off. No, it was like that.
What? Seriously?
Yeah. I got my own back though for him because in the
Sheffield Wednesday.
Sheffield Wednesday, yeah, I smashed the ball straight in his face. It went straight in the top corner. What was I thinking? But I did say to him, I says, John, don't get up. Just scored. Just not straight in the top corner.
That was on Twitter the other day, funny enough. I saw that the other day on Twitter. Someone had put it up, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. So
do you know what? It's the first time I've seen it, probably about a month ago. And I can't ever remember clearing my lines with my right foot ever, like that. I should have been left foot. Should have been just, for some reason, I just kicked it straight at him. He was about 2 yards away. Smashed him in the face.
Clean.
I think it was Alec in goal.
Yeah.
I think Alec was in goal. It just whistled past him in the top corner. I blame Alec. Should have saved it. Anyway.
So we've got Peaky, Mal. Who's the last centre-back we've got in this trio?
They're good centre-backs, aren't they?
Very good.
Very good.
Very good centre-backs. This one you'll never get, right? Just telling you.
Have we done all centre-backs, have we not?
No, he's done 5 at the back.
Oh, so one more, is he? I thought he said Mal
Peaky.
Fozzie.
No, he hasn't gone Fozzie.
Oh, yeah, you didn't.
No.
Right. You're right. My bad.
Okay, well, look, I'll give you a clue, right? This guy didn't play for Luton. You got to think
England.
You got to think of that is possible. That's a possible, but it might not be.
Right, it might not be.
You probably wouldn't even know who it is.
Really?
There you go. Yeah.
Then Preston, then.
It is a Preston. If you can come up with a name, you're doing really well.
Was he? Is he a manager?
He is a manager.
Is he the Everton manager?
I think he is.
No,
I think
West Ham. Sorry, West Ham manager.
No.
Okay.
That's good effort, Marv. I'll give up now if I was you.
No.
Now, this is a different era, so I'm just going to chuck it out there. Where did I know Sammy McElroy played then.
I think everyone played at Preston. They had such a good turnover of a lot of big turnover of loanees. Because Matt Jackson went there.
Matty Jackson. That's literally what I was going to say. Was the only other one.
Yeah.
Matt Jackson.
So I went there because Matt come back. Because obviously there was wind of him being moved on. So I took his place, if you like. And then subsequently, 2 games later, he was gone. Which was 6 games later for me. I played 6 games, I think.
But this guy is currently a manager.
I think he is, yeah.
Who was the
I
guy?
might be wrong. I think he is.
Who was he? Was his surname Jackson as well?
No. You might not have heard of him, but shall I tell you the reasons? I'll tell him the reasons why I liked him.
Flynn.
There you go, Mickey Flynn.
There you go.
Well done. He knows his stuff, the boy, doesn't he?
We get there in the end between us, see?
Well, he's correct me if he's wrong. Is he a Newport manager or somewhere like that at the moment?
It might be.
He's either down. He's one end of the country. He's either down in Wales or he's up in the north. He's up at Gates, or somewhere like that.
And he was a centre back.
He was a centre back. Marvin,
small.
The only reason.
He's small, Mickey Flynn.
No. You're thinking of Brian Flynn.
No, I'm thinking of a midfielder. I'm thinking Mickey. I thought Mickey Flynn.
Mick Flynn's a mobile brick.
He's a big lad.
Okay.
He's a stopper. But the reason I put him in there again, it was for my development. I put him in there because for me, that 6 weeks. Then 6 games or whatever. We had a good relationship. He was, he got more yellow cards than me, but obviously he was a defender, Marv. You know, he's a pure stopper.
Right.
Yeah, and I think he'd have done all right at another club as well with better players around him. But yeah, and that's why he's in there.
Excellent. Excellent. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a very short break. And when we come back, we'll hear the rest of Julian James's My Best 11.
Hi, my name is Kevin Nichols.
Hi, my name is Kingsley Black.
Hi, my name's Rebecca Lowe.
Hi, my name's Tony Thorpe.
My name's Graham Alexander.
I'm David Oldfield.
Hi, my name's Steve Davis.
My name's Carl Emberson.
Hey, it's Emerson Boyce here.
Hi, my name's Stephen Robinson.
My name is Andy Kiwomia.
And you're listening to My Best.
And you are listening to My Best.
To My Best
11 podcast.
And you're listening to My Best 11 podcast.
Welcome back to the second part of Julian James's My Best 11. So far, he's got David James, Trevor Peake, Mal Donaghy, Mick Flynn, Tim Breaker, and Graham Lasso. Hand straight over to Marv for Marvin's 60 seconds. Over to you.
Okay, Jules. Favourite other sport?
Tennis.
Golden goal or penalty shootout?
Penalty shootout.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Bundesliga, La Liga, or Serie A for quality?
Serie A. Oh,
VAR.
Sorry, mate.
Oh.
Go on. Carry on.
VAR or no VAR?
No VAR.
Best ground you've played at? A little bit tricky.
Highbury.
Pele or Maradona?
Got to say Maradona for me.
Okay. If you wasn't a footballer, what would you have done?
I'd have probably been a train spotter.
Beer, wine, or spirit? Which one? Or it's none, or none. Could be none.
Beer.
And last one, Marvin.
Fish and chips, pie and chips, or pasta?
Pie and chips.
Do you remember, Jules, going? I mean, I'm sure you're in that era. That last question just triggered that memory. Going to games, like before the game, there'd be someone walking around the physio. What are you having? Fish and chips, pie and chips, or chicken and chips? On the way home, wasn't it? Was he part of that?
Oh yeah, of course. We had our diet was absolutely spot on, wasn't it? I mean, do you think about it? We'd finish the game, we'd have cod and chips, we'd have a couple of beers on the coach or whatever. We'd go back home, we'd get leathered. Then you'd go on the Conservative Club on the Sunday, and then you might have a couple on Monday. I didn't, because you'd be playing on Tuesday. Some did. Some lived underneath the pub, didn't they? Brewers.
Oh yeah.
That's
Brewery
and
tap.
all that.
Brewery tap.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to your best 11 and keep going with that. So we're on to midfield. Wherever you want to go. I don't know how how you doing your three.
Well, I was a bit. It's a bit of a. There's one guy I would have liked to put in here, but I only played with him once, and so I will tell you who that is, but I won't put him in. That was Ricky Hill. Okay.
Right.
He was quality, mate, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, everyone more or less who's played at Luton had him in his team. I think at some point.
Yeah. Well, I only played with him once officially or twice officially. I mean, in training he was brilliant. I mean, I think he was the first bloke I ever saw who done round the world. You know, the skill. Yeah. You know what I mean? With both feet, both ways. You know. And did he have England caps? 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, a few. Not enough.
What a nice. But what a quality fella, you know, what a lovely bloke. And I remember him playing even in training, and he'd be going, "Oh, nice," you know, and he'd be applauding everyone's play, wouldn't he? And you think, You just lost the ball, Ricky. Yeah, that's nice. So yeah, I'd love to have him in. I would have had him in the team, but he's a little bit. Yeah. So we go for one of the midfield players. I would say he's obviously a Luton legend. You'll get it straight away. Go on in.
I'm going to go for Mini.
Yeah.
Yeah, spot on. You can't, the
God
fellow
bless
is.
him. God bless him.
Yeah, I mean, the fellow was. Christ, for a little fella, didn't he talk? Right?
They all do. They all do.
Yeah, he was vocal, wasn't he? He was. If I remember him, if he weren't in the team or he would be knocking on the manager's door, he's one of them types, But as a footballer, he was a jammy little git, wasn't he? Do you know what I mean? He would go into a tackle with the hardest bloke or whatever, and he wouldn't hardly, whether they felt sorry for him or whatever. No one ever cleaned him out, did they? He sort of always come through the other side with the ball at his feet. It's like he shuffled past them.
Right.
But for me, when Mick was playing, him and Mick just had a telepathy, didn't they? He'd just smash it on the angle and he'll just pull off the centre half and Bob's your uncle. So, but there was more to his game than just that. He was educated, short game,
clever,
long game,
smart, yeah,
clever, yeah.
And was king of nutmegs. It always was going for megs. Always.
Yeah, I loved him bits. He was great, and sorely missed. But there you go. It's,
yes.
Isn't it?
No, definitely. Next to Precy.
Well, again, there's been quite a few players which it could be. Some like I'll give you one, for example. I like Pembridge when he came into the team. Good player, and then we had the likes of Kerry Hughes, all that sort of player that was similar sort of era. Sadly, his potential never. I don't think. Although he's get injured at Wimbledon or something.
Who, Kerry or Pembo?
Yeah, Kerry.
Kerry Hughes got. Yeah, I think.
Was it West Ham as well?
Hughes wasn't.
Who am I thinking of?
No. But there's some good players. You could fill all areas of the pitch with numerous players. But I'm gonna say this one is quite. Luton supporters will probably not like this one. For the sheer fact they might think that his heart wasn't in the club. But he was with Luton for a short period of time. He was an older player, but he could play the game.
An older player. Did he also play for Southampton?
He did.
I only said that one to throw Andrew, and he also played for Arsenal.
He did.
His heart wasn't in it. Oh, no, go on.
Steve Williams. Good player. Very good.
Willow,
player.
he was.
Willow.
I think he was quality, mate. But it was just.
Yeah.
I think the reason because he was at his latter stage of his career, if you like, and the perception was he wasn't in it. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean.
You turn up for training because he travelled up every day or whatever, and but again, I'd run with him a few times as well, and we got on really well. And I don't think many people did get on with him. He was a character, wasn't he? Where he was. You could rub him up the wrong way, or vice versa. But he was. He liked an argument, but he could play, couldn't he, Marv?
Oh, very, very, very good player.
He could play, and he could slow the game. I'll tell you what he did. He slowed the game down.
He did.
Probably to suit him. But he was fit,
He was.
Sorry.
I was going to say a few times it was quite funny. I think I've said it before. when he first came into the team and started playing, and even in training, he wouldn't call for the ball. He'd just go, "You know who to give it to." That's all he'd say.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, he would. He had an arrogance about it, but you got to love
You know who to
it.
give it to.
He was good.
Yeah.
In fact, that game Sheffield Wednesday that I smashed the ball at John's face and he scored the own goal. I scored the equaliser up
That's
the
what
other
you
end,
did.
and Willow put the ball in, as I remember. So yeah, there's a few games we played together.
Yeah, Steve Williams.
So he was a good player. Good player.
Name I haven't heard for a long while.
So we move on to, and let's say a right-sided midfield player. I mean, I could have gone with all sorts of people in midfield. I could have gone with the Kingsley Blacks and all this, you know, and various other players. But for me, when I played fullback, I had 3 people in front of me, mainly on the right side, and it's going to be one of them 3. Which one?
Let's see. When I say early or late on your career, do you know what I mean by that? Which one? I'm trying to think. I've got a couple of players, but I'm thinking if I say late, you'll know what I mean when I say who played at Luton then. And then if I say
I think
early,
if I said late, that would give it away to either that one or the other one. So I will say middle.
Alexander.
Grezza was quality, mate. I loved him. Nice guy.
Okay, move on.
Not him. First on the scene when I broke my leg.
I didn't play that game, by the way.
You done well, mate. Could have played right back. You'd have got a broken leg.
But Andrew, help me out. Who was it?
I'm trying to remember which side Scotty Oakes played, because he could have gone. He could be throwing him.
Oaksy. You got Paul Telfer.
Yeah.
Telfshire man.
Telfer man.
Paul Telfer.
Yeah, I'd have Telfer in my team. Look, love Scotty Oakes. You know, he had a couple of years of, you know, a great freedom. Yeah, he had a few games where he was the crowd's favourite and whatever, for obvious reasons. Grezza seemed to fit right back probably better than he did midfield. I think he played well in right midfield, but for me, Telf playing in front of me, because Grezza always used to moan, and I used to moan back at him. So fuck off, you know. Love you, Grez, and fuck off. So, Telf, it was like a machine. He's Tim Breaker. He was another one that could run all day.
Yeah.
And there was there's more of a telepathy between me and him,
right,
than obviously Oaksy, because Oaksy wants to get the ball and go forward. Obviously, on the flip side of that, you might as well wave the white flag.
Yeah, and Tel's played a lot in central midfield once he went to Coventry and Southampton as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he played wing back as well.
Yeah, he did.
Which I don't know if that suited him. I thought he might do, because he covered some ground, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, talking of ended up in centre backs, centre midfield. It's exactly what Grezza did. He ended up playing in centre mid for Burnley, didn't he, for a while at the end of his career?
10 out of 10 for Grezza. I mean, 20 years in the game, mate. You can't knock that. Same as Alex. So, you know, fantastic.
But Paul Telfer finishes off your midfield next to Precy and Steve Williams.
Yeah, you mentioned there briefly about the injury. I mean, I know it went into a lawsuit, did it, or something like that as well? It was quite little. No?
No.
What? Go on, explain. I knew I'd get it all wrong. That's me.
No. Where do you want to start? I could write a book about it.
I mean, the game. Well, Jules, I don't want to relive a game, which obviously could have been basically really damning to your career. I mean, I wasn't playing. I
got cleaned out, Mark. Right, I got cleaned out. Right, I went to kick the ball. The geezer just run straight through me. Right, he never went to tackle me. He went to close me down, but kept on running. So in other words, he come to rough me up. I know I played the game long enough to know that. My follow through of my foot was up in the air, and he'd just come across court with his knee. So unfortunately, no one saw it. The referee didn't see it. It was that late. The linesman didn't see it. So I tried to get some help off the PFA. They weren't interested because it was a two-party thing. They didn't want to get involved. Although there was at the time a panel. They just started a panel for players who are injured. But they sat on the fence, if that makes sense. They didn't want to commit to left or right. Similarly, I got some advice from solicitors and whatever, and unfortunately, the footage, it was so high up, they couldn't tell from his facial expressions or the speed. So I didn't really have a case. And also, I felt let down by the players that I was playing with, quite frankly, apart from Graham Alexander and one or two others. I had a few people in the stand that saw it, and they made statements of what they thought they saw. I had 8 players that gave statements from the game, of which Graham obviously said what he thought because he was the nearest. That he said that it was obviously reckless, and he considered it as a negligible challenge. Whereas Steve-O, who was also next to us, who could have seen it even clearer because he was right next to me, but from behind, he saw it and he said it was reckless, but he couldn't say whether it was negligible, which is fair enough. And then I had other people that just, like Mitchell and that just poo-pooed it at the time. And I didn't think, as in, if they didn't see it, they didn't see it. It's fair enough.
Right.
But, so that went down that didn't bode well. I needed a bit of help there because David Kohler,
chairman.
I got a year's contract. I got a year's contract after the end of the season because the Bosman ruling had just come in that year. What a nightmare! So basically, my contract had was running out in June, and I had finished. So the injury was in April, so I finished in June. Whilst I'm in my bed in Harpenden, Kohler walks in and says, "Well, we're going to give you a new contract for a year." I went, "Oh, cheers." He says, "But we don't have to." I said, "Well, why do you have to say that? We don't have to. You either do or you don't." So, but apart from that, I didn't have much. Lenny Lawrence never spoke to me for 2 weeks after I broke my leg. And when he phoned me up, I said, "What the fuck do you want?" Because 2 weeks is a joke in my book. If that was my player, I'd be chomping at the bit, trying to get him back fit and give him some morale. There was a lot of things that went against me, and when I come out of Luton, I wanted to do some coaching, but I wasn't even offered because I understand Luton were in administration, so obviously they couldn't afford probably to offer me that. But they never once turned around and said, "Come in, we'll sort you out, we'll help you out." So I was left to, see you later. 13 years down the pan. So I left, and it took me a few years to sort my head out, quite frankly, because football was, it's what it's like, Marv.
Your life,
Football
yeah.
it's your life, isn't it? the camaraderie you miss and all that. So, but anyway, life moves on. It took a while, but you get over it, don't you? But it's yeah, I wish it would. It's a shame it didn't last a bit longer. That's all. It'd be nice. But it's what it is.
No, thanks for going through that with us. I mean, it's appreciate that.
I'm very glad you asked now, didn't you?
Jules, listen, I'm fine answering them questions. I'm not one of those people thinking. I mean, if you don't, I wouldn't answer a question if I don't like the answer. I mean, at the end of the day, I've asked the question. So I mean, and you're happy to speak about it. So at the end of the day, I'm fine answering that question. I mean,
you know me, Marv. I'll talk about anything.
So can I just ask about the other injury you've shown us off air then?
Which one?
About your finger.
That one.
Yes. So those people not on the video.
My children, do not do this in the workplace.
So what's it technically called? Your index? I don't know which finger's which.
It's an amputation of the index finger.
Yeah. So so right, is that left hand? So left hand.
That's the left hand, yeah.
So how did that happen?
Right, stupidly, as most tradespeople will tell you, it shouldn't happen. But it's called rushing between jobs. So I was doing a job and then I went to another job, and whilst I was doing this other job, a woman next door said, "Can you do this job?" And I went, "Yeah, okay." So I got the chop saw out, didn't set it up properly, and basically it was just a fence panel. So I just pushed through for the chop saw, and there's a little ridge in the middle of the chop saw. And of course the timber's slightly curvature, and it just momentarily just sort of jarred like that.
Oh no.
And I'm pushing down the thing straight off.
Oh.
And the other one went off as well, Marv, at an angle. So
could they not sew it back on?
No, it was all chewed up. But that was fun. Sat in hospital for about 5 hours to decide what to do with it. So
wow.
Just another blip.
So
I think
watch what you're doing, kids, when you're on the tools. When you're on the tools,
take your time, think about what you're doing.
Says Mr. OHS.
The Julian James Book of Injuries. There you go. Carry on.
We'll get back onto football. We'll get back onto football. Yeah. So strikers, are you playing a 10, a big man, little man, or are you not going to give us that clue?
Let's go. Big man, little man.
Where are we starting then? Big man. Let's get the easy one out of the way.
Go for the big man.
Andrew, you want to go? I mean,
surely it has to be Mr. Luton.
Mick?
Mr. Luton. It's got to be Mr. Luton, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the thing with Mick, he was as a youngster, Marv, do you remember going to training up at what's that place on the bloody bypass there?
Talbot?
No, not Talbot. It's the other end of town. Toys R Us end. Yeah, that place. Vauxhall's. I remember going there when I was about 15, something like that, and just pre-season or something. And Pleaty went, right, you're going. You play centre back. I'm thinking, right, I'm playing centre back. Jesus Christ, who am I playing against? This was a great big lamppost against me. Well, it's Mick on it. And I remember the ball, we're doing all right. It's doing all right. I think he done it on purpose for the young players, so, see what you like against the better players and that. Of course, this ball coming. I'll tell you what, I ended up in the goal, didn't I? Mick's like, he's headed the ball and he's put me in the back of the net. So I thought, wow, that's not very nice, is it? So the next time the ball, I thought, Jesus Christ, this is a good player. But next time the ball come to him, I kicked him big time. And the look on his face, you know what he's like. He just turns up and he's growl, And I looked at him, I thought, perhaps I shouldn't have done that. But it's a good learning curve, I think there's a bit of respect there. It's probably why he sent me around the pitch when I'm running around the pitch naked. Probably had a vengeance, isn't he?
He's an elephant.
What a good player, though, wasn't he, Mick?
Very, very good. Underestimated with his feet as well. Great touch, great technique.
I mean, there's a thing at the time. I mean, like Mark Haitley, played in the England setup a few times, didn't he? Now, Mick was better than him.
Yeah.
I think, anyway.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So do you think that young kids should be thrown in a lot more? You mentioned then about being thrown in against the pros and Mick, for example, at the age of 15.
Absolutely.
Do you think so it's one of the biggest things that grows you quickest?
Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because Marv, you know that more than anyone. The coaching thing at every level, you've got to play within your boundaries, whatever, and your growth and everything else. I played with Andy King, believe it or not, in the reserves at Swansea when I was 14. Now that's men's football, and they were people like Bob Latchford, who was at the end of his career then. He was probably in his 30s, and I was 14. And that was probably a little bit too extreme, but the players we used to play against, Marv, the Doug Rugvies, the Joe Jordans, Charlie Nicholases, the McAvenis, all these people that are coming back for injury, and that you're picking your wits against these guys, and there's nothing to be frightened of. It's just that they've got names. I remember Jimmy Ryan going, it's just a scalp. Yeah, it's just a scalp. It's just a name. So, but playing these guys at a younger age, I think it does help your development. But obviously, football has changed, so I can sort of comment on that so much. But as far as the fitness and everything is, but I've watched a lot of. How can I put it? Some of these teams seem to me they have a group of players, but they don't play any games. Is that am I right in that?
No,
so
100%.
100%. So they have no match practice as such, and also they're not learning. You learn playing against the better players, don't you? The better players can play at the reserve. When we used to, I remember listening to what's his face, Neil Warnock, and you know what he's like. And he was going, "Oh, well, it's all changed, and it's all changed." It's just, but the reserve football is and was a massive influence on younger players, and probably still there could be something. Do they do 23s now? Still do 23s?
Yeah. Going over to what you're saying, Jules, I don't think that would happen now, because look at the amount of numbers of subs they have for the English Premier League. Yeah. Is it 7 now? Is it 7, Andrew?
Something like
that. About that, yeah.
7. So you go now back to when we were playing, there was only 1 sub. No, 2 subs, sorry, 2 subs. When I first come to the team, and the likes of, like you just said there, Charlie Nicholas, Frank McAnevy, Tony Cottee, you'd play against these players. Yeah. You'd play against these players in their reserve. It's like if they got an injury, you'd play against them. You would never now get that happening today, where a first team player, let's say, a Marcus Rashford maybe playing for Manchester United's reserve team, coming back from injury. I mean, it'd probably be a case where an in-house game or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
They play 10 minutes. They sit on the bench, play 10 minutes. Next game 20. Next game 25, and they bled them in like that, I suppose now.
Yeah.
But Marv, you played how many games did you actually play in your whole career?
Just 400, 395, 396, something like that.
Yeah, so you had your reserve games on top of that. You probably played 50 to 100 reserve games, maybe. I don't know, 50 games perhaps. It's all.
No, it's similar to you, Jules. I was still at school when like you were. Really, that's a good thing with Luton. Luton would be like, you'll be at school as a 15, 16-year-old, and you'll come in and play a reserve game. I remember coming and playing 2, 3 reserve games while I was at school still.
Yeah. How do you get around that then? Because obviously the likes of the Wayne Rooneys that come in at 16, it doesn't happen anymore, does it? Very, very rarely. So how do you actually become a man before you actually play?
Well, I suppose the loan system is the only way they're doing it now. Like, I'm thinking of Luton got Charlie Patino, Arsenal got Charlie Patino, the guy who got from Luton, and he's now out of Blackpool. So I think they've actually gone almost a full circle. From what I can see, is either clubs are loaning players back out to Championship teams, or if players are just sitting on the bench doing nothing. In fairness, I think there's more and more of this critical mass of youngsters now that are actually going abroad because they know they'll get first team minutes, like that Marcus Edwards at Benfica or Porto or Sporting, wherever he is in Portugal, the old Tottenham kid. And then you've got, think about all the Dortmund players and all the players that are going over to Germany.
Yeah, they've definitely got to have that experience. They definitely have to have that experience. It's like me going to Preston, that was invaluable to me. So, the more the better, really.
Yes. So,
Right,
strike
so
up,
moving on to the
your
last
little
one,
man.
yeah?
The little man.
Well, it's a little man who scores goals. Plenty of them.
A little man who scores goals, plenty of them.
I'm going to say it. I reckon, even though we had a bit of a joke earlier, I'm going to go Thorpe.
Is it Thorpe?
Are you waiting for me to react to that? Or are you waiting for Marvin?
Is it not Thorpe?
No, is it L?
He banged goals in.
Huh?
He put goals in.
Sorry, Tone, but no. He did bang goals in for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call him little.
No, he's not
Steenie?
little, is he?
Steenie?
Not little Steenie.
Which Steenie? Yeah.
Big Steenie.
No, neither of them.
Neither of them.
Nope.
Did he play for Luton?
When I say little, I don't mean mini-me or tiny, all right?
What I'm thinking.
Yeah, but everybody's small compared to Mick, so yeah. That's the whole team.
Yeah.
He banged goals in.
And it's not Clive Allen either.
Where did you play with him? England?
Just saying, it's not Clive Allen.
Oh, well. He didn't play for Luton.
Come on loan.
Clive Allen, did he?
I'm sure he did. Don't know if I played with him.
Paul Allen come on loan. I don't remember Clive coming on.
Bradley Allen. All the Allens turned up, did they? Did Bradley Allen turn up?
Bradley Allen did. Rory Allen.
Yeah. Yeah, we digress.
Yeah, let's get this striker. Little bang goals in fun.
I'm trying to think eras.
I would say more so in when he could score. He was a good finisher, and
was he an international? International?
Yes, he was. Yeah. No, he wasn't. Yes, he was, but no, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
He was foreign. He's foreign, but he's not. He didn't play for it. So
no, he's not foreign.
Oh my gosh.
It's quite simple, really, right? If you just strip it all back to where my teams that I've played with, it's one of them.
Have we mentioned him already? His name?
I don't think so.
No, that's what I
don't think so.
It's the little thing. I don't know.
Maybe that's what. But he's probably not even little.
It's not little, as in 5'3". He's little, as in 5'4".
Compared to Mick.
Yeah.
But he never got any international caps for his country.
Not senior squad, no.
Not senior squad. And he played for Luton.
No.
See, I knew it. That's see.
How long have you been playing this game, Marv? You should have asked that first.
No, I know.
The only one person who I recognised.
Mark Robbins.
Well done.
Oh, Marvin.
He could score a goal, couldn't he?
Yeah.
He could score a goal. I tell you, it was frightening. He scored 5 goals in one of our games that we played. I think he scored 2. He scored 7 or 8 in that tournament. But it was mind blowing, Marv. It just every time he touched the ball, he'd score a goal. And not being funny, but playing for Luton, that never happened.
Yeah.
You know, we had some good players, don't get me wrong. We had some really good forwards, from Roy Wegley down to Mick Arthur, Dowie Artson, you know, didn't we? We've had a stack load of players. But and I actually remember playing against him at Manchester United. Mark Hughes was up front alongside him, and I think I might be wrong, but I think he scored one or 2 goals. So they beat us 4-0, something like that up there. It's just going back in the must be 90s or something.
What happened to his career? Because he never really fully kicked on, did he?
No, I don't know. He sort of petered out, didn't he? And he just finished.
Yeah.
Is that the same Robbins who's manager of?
He was at Coventry for a
Coventry?
while.
He's still there.
He is?
Yeah.
He's still there. And he was at Rotherham, wasn't he? He was a Rotherham manager. But was Dibbs with him? Dibbs was at Rotherham as well, wasn't he? Was a coach. Andy Dibbs. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so you got Mick and Mark Robbins.
He for me was the best finisher that I played with. No offence to anyone else who scored goals.
No.
Yeah. So I don't think there's 2 people you wouldn't mind in your teams, you know, when they were on form, was Mick and Mark Robbins.
Yes, definitely. And a couple of final questions. Last one I'll take first, before I hand over to you, Marvin, is you picked your best 11. Now, which of the managers or coaches, could be a coach, who you've worked under in your time as a player, would you think would be best at managing this best 11? And it can be all the way down to youth days.
I would think I enjoyed Jimmy Ryan being so. I would give him the opportunity to manage his team. David Pleat was different class in some respects, so I could go on about that. But for this team, I think I would give the opportunity to Jimmy
Ryan. Excellent.
What?
Over to you, Marvin.
So just so that the listeners can reconnect with you, we always ask this question. What are you? You've alluded to it a little bit with us at the start. What are you doing now, and are you still involved in football? What's your industry you're in now?
I'm in the building industry, builder. I've got a building landscaping business. I would have loved to kept my hand in football, but it's a little bit down the line now, unfortunately. Future-wise, I don't know what's around the corner. I might turn a chef next week. You never know. But at the moment, I'm just plodding by. I live in Dorset, a nice part of the world, by the sea. So
lovely.
When everyone's struggling, thinking about humdrum life, I can just go down the seafront. So
sounds
I'm
nice.
pretty chilled, mate. It's pretty chilled. So we're not just Monday to Friday like most people. Get your money and then just chill out.
Yep. And do you get to many games? Do you get to I don't know which part of Dorset you're in, but do you get to Bournemouth, Southampton, or even up to Vicarage Road?
I've been to watch Weymouth, and stuff when Dave Oldfield was manager down there. Not so long ago, and now Dave's moved on. But obviously, come up the motorway sometimes to see Watford play, so I get some stick for that. But that's because my kids go as well. I haven't never had an invite back to Luton Town. So unfortunately, there you go. So otherwise I would have been up watching Luton, but since that's never happened, I've never been back.
You don't go.
I've been back twice to play charity games, and that's it really.
So, that's it. You've never been to watch any games or seen any games?
No. I think one game I watched very early on when I finished football at Luton, and then there was 2 charity games which were involved. I don't know if you were there, Marv. I think you might have been. Aston Villa and Arsenal. Last time I saw John Faulkner, because John's gone now, isn't
he? Yeah.
So that was the last time. Mick Kennedy was playing one of them.
Mick's passed away as well. And Mick's passed away.
Has he really?
Yeah, Mick passed away.
I didn't know that. Oh shit! I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear that. That's crap. So none of us getting any younger, are we? Either.
No, Jules. No,
live your life, boys. Live your life. Enjoy it. Enjoy your football, Marv.
Yes.
Sounds like you do.
Yes.
And you, Andy.
Thank you very much. Well,
Andrew.
Andrew, but do you know what?
Andrew.
We've really enjoyed listening to some of the stories and honesty. And your upfront honesty, Marv promised that. And that's exactly what that's exactly what. Oh, do you know what? That's exactly what it's been. And I want to say thank you on behalf of myself, Marv, and the listeners. Thank you so much for your time. And that was Julian James's My Best 11.
Just before you cut it, Andrew, I need to say, because my mum listens to it all the time, and I need to say, it's not that. It's like, as same as you, as you're growing up, you do as you're told. So I need to say thank you and a great to Nigel and Cynthia, because they listen to every episode, I believe, and they just wanted to have a little quick mention, they said. So hello to Nigel and Cynthia.
Awesome. Hello, Nigel and Cynthia, and thanks for listening to My Best 11 pod.
Yeah.